Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to, I think, day number 10, 11, something like that. Today we're in kind of northern San Jose, kind of Bay Area. Today we're actually going to be joining Annex Suspension Group. It's beautiful up here. 79, 80 degrees, like it's a perfect temperature, nice breeze, Northern California. You have my approval. So we're going to go inside, we're going to talk to Grant and get the full rundown on Annex Suspension. I know Annex probably to a lot of you is a newer name in kind of the suspension industry, and it was to me at least. So it is interesting and fun for us to kind of be able to come here and get the full story from Grant himself.
I operate another parts retail shop, and we were selling Corollas from like various brands. And then I love suspension. I'm very passionate about suspension. But at the time, with the stuff that I was selling, I was kind of thinking like, I feel like we could do a little better because the ride quality wasn't quite what I was looking for. I was just thinking like, essentially it's oil going through, some pistons and stuff. I kind of want to take a crack at this. And like I said, we're very interested in suspension. We're totally suspension nerds here. We started with the very basic things. We were just trying to make dampers, work on cars. And honestly, it was like a lot of just trying to figure out like, how much damping does this particular car need, right? Like really, It was just like when you start from nowhere, you're just really guessing. You see a bunch of, I'd study a lot of graphs online, like, is this the right answer? Is this the right answer? The key was we ended up building some calculators that we still use today that allow us to calculate exactly what damping is required for a certain build. And that's been a big part of it. So
a lot of you guys know, like with the stuff that we do with GR Corollas, it's not really about how stuff looks. We care about how it performs. Your guys' parts seem to be both. So why don't you walk us through just a couple of stuff that you guys kind of have redesigned and just made better that you might not find with other companies?
Yeah. The kind of parts we have on the table here are just things that we've kind of made over the years to solve unique problems. This is not just GRC stuff, this is kind of in general. So some of the tools that we've made to help us, that we've used to help us get there are, for example, I've got a shock pot here. This is basically a position sensor that we used in the early days, and we would bolt this to my FRS. So we would data log and actually see the shock velocities when the car is hitting certain bumps, right? This is we're quite proud of this. This is our caster camber plate. You guys have had experience with CAS cam plates in the past. You kind of just have to hold in place while you're installing it because these need to slide on the car to give you the caster adjustment,
right,
as well as the camber, which is pretty much any camber plate, right? You're like, this is really stupid. It's a two-person operation to go install this camber plate up in the car. Your buddy's got to hold the studs here. The dude's got to go on top, and things like falling down. It's just really frustrating. So we spent an unreasonable amount of time making these parts. We made some like chromoly studs from scratch that are really tight tolerance that allow us to install them, but they don't fall out. So while you're adjusting it or installing it, they're captive. This is for a BRZ, but we recognize that car had very little stroke and travel, which is also verified like on 3D scans.
Yeah.
So then we went and we designed a billet, extender that allows you to get more stroke out of that compact packaging. So this doesn't come on all of our kits. This is on the club spec level and above. So people are really serious about performance, etc.
We see a lot in rally, honestly. I mean, because back in the day before they had crazy shock, R&D like they do now, their shocks used to be as big as we can get them. This little bulge gets you, what, an extra 50 mil? And like old rally cars, I mean, they would extend those things like out to there.
Yeah, I mean, so practical example. So without this, we can package 90 millimeters of stroke onto the BRZ. With this, we can package about 125. So like percentage-wise, it's a big change, right? Yeah. So this allows people to not be hitting the bump stops nearly as much when they're really loading up, hitting berms and G-outs and stuff like that.
We have a GRC, GR Corolla coilover setup here in front of us. You kind of just want to run through it quick?
The GRC was a big project for us, mainly because we noticed the car had a lot of, let's just call it difficulties, like from the factory. So like, as you guys know, in the GRC, it's got that cowl that's on the top. And like, in order for you to even adjust the dampers, you didn't need to cut a hole or figure out some of the way that you can get to that adjuster, which a lot of people just expect the user to do. But like, I personally don't want to cut a hole in my car. The damping adjustment is on the bottom, but like it is nice that it's on the bottom so you don't have to get it from the top, but the main reason why it's on the bottom is because we really wanted to have inverted damper for the GRC, because we recognize the car's like, you know, rally potential, and it's a heavier car that people are gonna be pushing on track. And inverted allows us to use some large brass bushings down here that can really handle a lot of like lateral load and not get bound up with friction, also causing wear and like scuffing and stuff like that. Now that being said, like you don't necessarily need to have inverted for every kit. Like if you know, if you have like a BRZ and like you just want to go have fun in the mountains and like, you know, occasionally go to the track, like the traditional style of damper is totally fine. It's just that if you were like driving really hard, or like you're doing rally stages, for example, you want to have that extra chassis stiffness, right? I think the other thing worth mentioning is we actually have a Marizo damper on the other table as well. But even on the Marizo, they went to an inverted style, whereas the normal GRC has just a traditional strut.
Even Toyota, like GR, realizes that the advantages of going to the inverted are huge. So in an OEM application, they're providing inverted, which is pretty rare. Like you don't see a lot of OEMs doing inverted. So like even the Marizo is a huge improvement over the OEM, but then you're stuck with the non-adjustable, non-height adjustable.
Right. I just want to say thanks to Speed Academy guys for lending us their Marizo dampers, because these are very hard to get a hold of, as you can imagine.
100%. It's interesting because when it comes to, you know, these OEM manufacturers, and you talk about like, well, what's the actual difference between, you know, like the Circuit Edition and the Marizo? Well, this is a huge difference. I mean, this is probably a bigger difference than most, you know, like M cars have. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like most companies just charge 20 grand for more carbon and more power, versus this is, you know, you charge an extra 10 grand for a huge upgrade in actual shocks.
And also, I want to just add in that if you guys do a spring rate consult, my coworker Will is gonna be the main person you'll be talking to, because he's our calculator like whiz, and so he's the one that's going to run through every person scenario and give them suggested spring rates and valving, which we then get back to the team and then build those dampers to spec.
I want to walk through quickly your whole line of GR Corolla dampers.
It's just the two options. There's Fast Road and then the Club Spec Pro, which is what you have. We are currently developing, name is TBD, it might be Rough Road Pro, but it's some kind of like mixed use gravel like application. So we do have a few customers that are very interested in that, so thank you guys for your interest. So right now we're actually like modeling like, you know, rally dampers, and we're going to be building some prototypes for Will to just go and like bang on.
We've been talking a bunch about off-road coilovers, and it's really cool to be able to kind of get my insight to you guys and be like, hey, like, you know, if you guys are willing to do it, I'm willing to test it, and I know it's going to make great videos for them, so it'll be freaking awesome.
We actually sold out of our upside down camber plates, but all I have is an early 3D print prototype. But what this is a camber plate that's an option. They don't come, you know, on every order we build, but this allows people to adjust their camber from below the car. So once it's up in there and you've got your cowl installed and the car is all together, you can loosen these bolts and adjust your camber this way. You actually had a point of criticism about how this looked. You want to go over that again?
Yeah, totally. Only criticism I had was actually this shock body down here. So the actual shock body itself,
The bracket, yeah.
The bracket, I guess, yeah, because this would be the shock body. The bracket itself that bolts to the knuckle of the car, it just looked a little bit, you know, it looked a little bit cheaper.
Honestly, I think we're like one of the few people in this industry that are just totally transparent, that we buy a lot of stuff from Asia. So like these brackets are a catalog item. We just verified that they fit on the car, they give us the camera adjustment, and they're safe. But why are we doing that? The reason we're doing that is because that allows us to spend more time on the internal piston design and give you guys better damper performance, right? For us, a quality damper is going to allow you to run like a higher spring rate, allow you to have all the things you want out of a suspension. Whereas like the rest is just a way for us to bolt the damper onto the car. So we care a lot about the damper. So to the point where like, this is actually a part that just literally came in yesterday from machining. So this is our new double digressive piston. The tolerances on this are 0.05 millimeter of tolerance. So we actually QC every single piston that comes through here. Once that passes QC, then we have it hard anodized, and then it goes into the shock. But in order for us to have shocks that match that level, you have to have that kind of precision, and that's what we've learned over time. So like, I'm actually very proud that we are able to source these parts and spend more of our resources and your guys' hard-earned money on the dampers to make sure that it performs really well. So as you know, on the GRC on the rear suspension, you can't access the damper from the top, right? So that told us right away we wanted to go upside down on the damper, which is also new for us. And then inside, what you can't see are, again, those high-quality bump stops that I was talking about. So like, we try to cover every single thing that we would want on our ideal suspension. More recently, we've been actually 3D scanning the car. So we'll get the car up and we'll scan all of the control arms and the pickup points and the hub locations and stuff. And so that lets us pretty much figure out the motion ratios at any point of the articulation. And then also obviously will let us figure out how long the dampers need to be. Later on, let's say you were like, hey, I want circuit suspension now. Okay, now it's like I want rally suspension. Well, we just take the model, lift your car up like 3 feet or whatever you need, right?
Yep.
And then we can see how everything is moving, so we can make a damper to fit. So that's really huge for that.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
it allows you just to open as many doors as possible, which is cool. I appreciate everything.
Yeah, of course, man.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
letting
Thanks
us
for
walk
coming by.
around and everything,
Yeah.
and hopefully, we'll be able to kind of meet up with you guys in the future. And then,
How about this weekend?
yeah, oh yeah, Gridlife.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm so,
I'll see you at our booth.
yeah, totally. So we're gonna be at the Annex Nemtech booth at Gridlife. So if you guys are coming to Gridlife Laguna, please come check us out. We'll have merchandise for him, merchandise for us, and then they'll also be able to have, or you guys have stuff to show? You got coilovers and stuff? What are
Yeah,
you
we'll have
bringing?
some display units there. Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
perfect. So if you guys want to come swing by Gridlife Laguna, we'll
Let's
be
do it,
there.
you guys.
We'll be there. So,
So,
awesome.
Yeah, thanks again for coming in, man. I really appreciate
yeah, I
it.
appreciate it,
Great
dude.
meeting you.
100%.
Yeah.
I appreciate you showing us behind the scenes and everything, and we're gonna get back on the road because we got another probably 45 an hour drive, and we got to try and beat this traffic because everywhere in California's got traffic, dude.
Yep.
Alrighty, guys. So we left Annex Suspension. Awesome talking to them. It was really cool to be able to walk through their shop and get kind of the behind the scenes to look. We are currently pulling up to Speed Element Performance, I think. I dropped our injectors off, our port injectors for the Corolla. I dropped them off this morning to try and get cleaned because I think that's what the issue is with like that low end sputter trying to putt around parking lots. Hopefully, cross your fingers, that's what it is. Trying to do spark plugs, and then we're trying to clean the injectors. See if that's the issue. Hopefully, cross your fingers, that's the issue. We're gonna go inside, pick them up, and then we'll be back on our way to start working on the Corolla. So I do want to apologize to you guys. I have actually fixed the injectors. I got them all back and ready to go in the car. I was on a phone call for like an hour, and I was just kind of sitting there with it on my Bluetooth headphones. So we got the entire car good to go. And it's nice working in here, a little lighted trailer action. The injectors, fuel rails all back together. I checked it, no leaks. We don't really have time tonight to pull the car out and try and test it because it is getting a little dark and we're in a nice area. I don't want to wake people up. That would be bad. But tomorrow we are actually arriving at Gridlife. We'll be able to drive it around the parking lot a little bit and kind of test it out there. Just make sure that it's kind of a little bit better. So cross your fingers that the injector cleaning was the fix for it. We also got finally our oil cooler. So little Big Daddy oil cooler we got here. We got all the fittings and everything. A company called Colored Fittings, I think, super hooked it up. They had everything. They're in San Jose. Amazing company. They make these awesome custom and fittings and stuff. So they hooked it up on the oil cooler. They got us everything that we need. So we're going to install that at the track as well tomorrow before we start racing on Friday. And the whole car's coming together, guys. The whole car's coming together. It was really awesome. I wanted to say thank you to you guys for watching the video. And yeah, thanks for supporting our journey. And we're almost there, Gridlife Laguna. If you guys aren't coming this weekend, you're missing out. Trust me. If you guys are anywhere in this area, come to Laguna Seca, Gridlife Laguna Festival. It's going to be absolutely insane. Or make sure you subscribe to the channel so you guys can follow along in our videos and try and live vicariously through us. But that's gonna be it for today's video. I appreciate you guys watching. You guys know the deal. If you have any comments, leave them down below. We love talking to you guys. If you guys like the video, leave a like. It really helps us out. It shows the support. And hopefully we'll see a lot of you guys this weekend. I hope you guys have a good night, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.